All right. So I'm again, I'm going to do it. I'm going to run through the funnel information because that's the most vital piece of all of this. In the Facebook training yesterday, or not yesterday, last week, you saw how the funnel how it operates and what it eventually does with return on ad spend. So I think that's important to look at and make sure it's fresh on everyone's mind every week because it's really part of the whole strategy. So conversion funnel, we'll just abbreviate this every week now. Data-driven audiences, intent, and retargeting, all leading to a conversion. Data-driven audiences, again, based on email lists, which we're talking about today, lookalike audiences, page engagement, Instagram engagement. Intent, we're looking at search, shopping, display, video, and email. Anyone that has shown a level of intent to purchase or become a client or whatever the scenario is. Retarget, again, anyone that's been to the website. We want to make sure that we're hitting them on all of the platforms available. Feed the funnel, build the machine. Again, that's what the whole goal is. We want to build this marketing machine for everyone to use. We want to build it by dropping these fun pieces in with intent and data-driven audiences. Once we get that conversion, we want to nurture with all platforms available. And remember that $1 can easily turn into $4. And that's really the ultimate goal for any brand, that you build that customer loyalty and they just stay lifetime customers. So today, we're talking about email marketing. And there's a lot of misconceptions about email marketing, especially in today's world. There's a lot that people just don't understand, they miss out on. And we're going to talk about that and really drive home we're going to drive home some of the true things that matter with email marketing and how it should matter to you and your business. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover statistics, why email, why does it matter? We're going to cover platform choice. And with that, we're going to talk about simple, like if you just need simple email platform, there's some really good free options on that end. They work well. They're really exciting to use actually. So I highly suggest utilizing those when you can, if you don't have any other options. We're going to talk about e-commerce. Extremely important for some of the people on this call today. They run brands, and I think that's the e-commerce side of it is extremely important. And there's some simple options on that, and then there's some more difficult options. We'll run through a little bit of that, and then automation. Why is that important? It's extremely important, and every business should have some sort of automation in place. And then audience segmentation. Like if we're going to send emails, we want to make sure we're sending the right message to the right group of people. So that's a wildly important thing that is often overlooked. Rest in peace. Is email dead? That's one of the major misconceptions that people have. They believe that email is no longer a valid form of marketing. And in all actuality, it is one of the most valid forms of marketing. And just because you get spammed nonstop with brands that are just blowing you up, remember, there's a reason you're getting spammed. And you don't opt out of those. When you do opt out, it's generally because you don't care about the brand. You're getting spammed because you showed buy-in to that brand. So here's some statistics. We got a lot of these, but they're important. About 50% of Americans check their email while in bed. 42% check it in the bathroom. Accurate. I'm going to call it as accurate. I'm thinking most of the people on this training can attest to that. 320% more revenue is driven from automated emails than non-automated emails. We'll discuss what an automated email is, and you'll understand some of the why that is. The why is important. On average, a welcome email series drives more revenue than having a single welcome email or none at all. So here's an issue. If you have a brand and someone opts in to be on the email list, you probably most likely are not sending them at least a, hey, welcome to our email list. We're going to make sure you're updated with sales and events, and even giving them valid data or information or content that has to do with who they are and your brand. Extremely important. So you should have a series of emails that go out, maybe say 3 to 5. When someone opts in, you send them, oh, thanks for signing up. And then another email that explains more about the brand, and another email with a call to action, like, hey, purchase now or register now, whatever it is. But that welcome series introduces people to your brand on a deeper level. The average open rate for emails sent in North America is 19.49%. That, I believe, is probably a little high for average. I've worked with a lot of brands with much lower. That's why I think that's high. So let me explain what that means. That means you send a batch of 1,000 emails to customers. Out of that, 19% are going to open them. That may not seem like a great number, but it is fantastic, because remember that 1,000 people that you sent the email to, or 100 or 5, it doesn't matter. They opted in. They know your brand already, and they're interested in your brand. That's extremely important to always remember. So that number, 19%, even like for someone that's not familiar with email marketing, that may seem extremely low. It is not. It is a great number. And regardless of what that number is, it's important. Remember, they bought into your brand. The only time that number is like extremely low is when someone buys an email list off of some data collection agency or something like that. Those oftentimes are emails collected at, so I'll use Harley Davidson as an example. When I was working with Harley, they would get emails from events for people that wanted to sign up to win a free motorcycle at a like music festival. Those people are not Harley riders. The data in that data set of emails is worthless, essentially. So the open rate would be 1 to 2%, and then they wouldn't click through. Like, it was a waste of time and effort to get those emails. So if you're getting emails in that way, they're not worth, like, don't do that. But if you're getting emails from people that are organically or paid traffic coming to your site and they're signing up, or they're customers, 100% utilize that. So a couple other stats on this page. Email is 40 times more effective at acquiring customers than Facebook and Twitter combined. Now, I do have to argue with that a bit, because last week we talked about Facebook and paid marketing. That's a different scenario. Like that, the conversion rate on that is very, very good. Email is higher. But if we're talking about organic traffic, then yes, 100% for Facebook and Twitter combined are still not nearly as effective as email. In fact, Twitter, you can just take it off the list. It shouldn't even exist for marketing. A case study by Monetate found that 4.24% of email marketing traffic will make a purchase, compared to, and this number is pretty staggering, 2.49% of search engine traffic, or 0.59% of social media. So that means if someone found you on search engine, like Google, like Googled your name or whatever, and they ended up on your site, or if they came in through, or I'm going to call that organic social traffic, not paid social traffic, which is highly targeted and includes retargeting. If they come in that way, they're not nearly as likely to purchase as email. Again, we're going to remember that email is bought into your brand. They're already familiar with who you are. They know what's going on with your brand. They know your brand story on some level. A lot of times email is really equivalent to retargeted ads. Quick Sprout found that email subscribers are 3.9% more likely to share your content on social media. But let's freeze on that for a second, because if they're an email subscriber, they are way more likely, whenever you share something on social media, to share that. You know what that means? That means you get their audience as well. You're not just stuck with your audience, which is throttled by Facebook and Instagram because they want you to pay for it. Now you can get some organic traction. And that's really where you want to be. So again, that doesn't surprise me though, because they're bought into the brand. Roughly 1 in 3 US retail email list subscribers have purchased something from the brand whose emails they receive. I can attest to that, because I've done it. I've received emails and I have purchased from them. And odds are that a couple people on this call have done that at least. Again, we want people to receive emails. Consumers check personal email for an average of 2.5 hours each weekday while at work. So again, guilty as charged, because my life is through email with all clients. Most of the time it's email. We have Zoom calls with updates and everything. But when I check my email, I'm also checking my personal email unintentionally, even when I pull out my phone, especially. So we have a captive audience. They're already there, willing to look. Last slide with data, but it's so important. Shoppers spend 138% more when marketed to through emails as compared to those who do not receive email offers. So they're more likely to buy if you're sending an offer. 54% of marketing influencers cite increasing email engagement rate as a top priority. So Andy's not on this call today. He's been on every one, but he emailed before and said he's not going to be able to make it. He'll see this recording and he'll know what I'm talking about. But Andy, he started doing a lot of content creation, and really technically that's, he's stepping into the influencer world without being a traditional influencer. And it is wildly important for him and people like him to capture audience data. So if you are someone that's putting out regular content and you're not capturing the audience data and building an email list to really market to yourself, you're missing out. Huge opportunities there. One study found that ROI, that's return on investment, on email was 28.5% compared to 7% for direct mail. Not surprising at all that it's 4 times higher than someone sending something through the mail. First of all, traditional mail is very expensive. Second of all, it is not nearly as targeted. You usually have to go through an agency that has some data that they believe is accurate, and it's generally not. So I'm not surprised by that number, but it's also worth pointing out because people still do it. Email marketing produces $44 for every dollar spent. So with email, most likely, if you're a small company, small brand, you're not spending anything. So any return is amazing. But if you're a bigger company and you're paying for your email platform, and that's it. And for every dollar you spend on that, as long as you're utilizing it and executing properly, you're going to make $44. That's a great return. Consumers believe email, this is important. Consumers believe email is more likely to be around in 10 years than Facebook, Twitter, and cable television. People believe that email is not going anywhere. It's part of their lives. However, they believe most of the other parts of technology are leaving. So when we look at what consumers trust for longevity, email is where it's at. So when they give their email address to you as a brand, they're saying, hey, I want you to keep in touch with me for 10 years. Whereas when they like a Facebook page, they know Facebook can go away at any point. They remember MySpace. They remember every other social media platform that had just disappeared overnight. So when we're talking about email, there's a few choices on platforms, and we want to look at those things. And we're just going to look at 3 today, but they're kind of 3 different tiers. So there's other options within these tiers, but I think it's important to consider each of them. MailChimp is a great option. It's free. It has some other capabilities past the free option, but it's great. It really does what you need it to do on a small business level. It is limited, but if you're just a small business and you're looking to keep in touch with your customers and drive them to a site, perfect. It works great. Shopify, if you have a Shopify site, which if you're in e-commerce, it's really my preferred platform. It outperforms almost every other platform out there. Shopify has integrated abandoned cart emails, which I'll walk you through in a bit. And those are extremely successful. The return on those is, once you set it up, it's automated. You don't ever have to do anything else to it. So it's amazing, like perfect. And in fact, I think I mentioned this in a past training. If you go to a website, what I'm going to highly suggest you all do, if you're going to make a purchase in the next week, go to a website, put your item in the cart, and leave, and wait for the email. Make sure you put your email, like you go through the checkout process and leave before paying. You'll most likely get, especially if it's a Shopify site, most likely get an abandoned cart email with a discount or free shipping or something. And then there's platforms like Infusionsoft. There's a few other options, but I'm going to look at Infusionsoft with you. Amazing. Like the capabilities and what you can do on there. If you're a brand that has the budget, it makes total sense. Like, and I'll show you why. It's amazing. It's scary how good it is. So let's look at the back end for a second. I'm going to stop the screen share just to work through this real quick and get that brought up. We'll look at the back end of MailChimp. Let me get logged in real quick. I'm working with we'll look at a client of mine's back end. There's no crazy data there for you, just something simple. Okay. Screen share. Well, of course, screen sharing is failed. Why wouldn't it? Share. All right, can I get a thumbs up if y'all can see it? Because I just got a message saying screen share failed. Cool, thanks, Billy. Here we go. So this is the back end of MailChimp. Super simple platform. Not a whole lot to it on the basic level, but if you're a brand and you have an email list and you just want to engage your customers, real simple place to do that. So we go to campaigns, like audiences. You can build out your audiences. You can create tags. You can like give them characteristics. Like if you know they've bought a certain product, you can tag them for that product. So like Billy, you'd be familiar, like handlebars. Anyone that buys handlebars is likely to buy more handlebars soon because they're going to bend them on the motocross track. You want to tag them with handlebars because you want to give them updated information, and on handlebars alone, keep them updated on what's going on sales wise. And you can do that with any product, especially one that would, I got a coffee client, like you'd want to tag them with what kind of coffee they bought. So you can make sure you give them regular updates on that type of coffee. So just real essentially what we're going to do is we're going to create a simple email. And please, like, I'm not going to run this campaign. Again, it's just we're just going to call it a test and regular. So this is a simple back end of MailChimp. Begin. And what it'll do is it'll give us a few options on the template that we're going to use eventually. Well, first we got to add the, so I'm going to send it, in theory, I'm not actually going to send it to 869 recipients. Those are all people that bought in. Save. So you'd want to make sure it's from a person with a business email. Add a subject. So whatever your subject is. And the preview text, that's what shows up on Gmail on your phone, whatever, just right below the subject. So it's like a sample of what's in the email. You don't have to use that either, but I suggest it. Also, turns out using emojis in an email that increases the open rate. So if you use it in the subject and the preview, boom, increases the open rate. So go with that for sure. And then design email. It doesn't get more basic than this, and it's so simple to use, but everyone should have at least this in play. So it'll load and we'll have a chance to choose a template. This is the free version. This client uses the free version and it works fine for what they do. Their lead generation, their email list is qualified. They do real estate investments. So their email list is highly qualified. So what we need to do for them would be, so like tell a story. I would do this for like their blog. I will send out whenever they have a relevant blog that's, oh, I can't use that one. Sorry. We'll just go to basic. Sorry. But I would use something like the tell a story. Generally I'll build one. But if they have a blog that's relevant, I will send out, kind of a teaser for the blog and drive people to the site. Works really well. So here you want to add your logo, whatever your brand logo is, edit, replace. That's their logo. And one thing you want to do is when you put the logo in there, you want to make sure you put a link to it. Every chance you get, you want to have anything on your site that can link, or your email that can link, you want to make sure it links to your website. So here you would just, www.com, insert. So now they would click that. If they got here, they would click it. And we can change the size. I would suggest that because you don't want to take up the whole screen when they land on it. But if they see the brand name and they just want to go to the website, most people know if you click on that, it'll take them to the site. So make sure that's implemented. Make sure you're doing that right. And then right here, you would just change your ad copy. You would hit the edit button and, whatever you want to change it to. I suggest highly putting in links. If you have a product, let's make sure we're going to include some product in there. So you change your ad copy, like, hey, we have a sale going on, whatever it is. There's this obvious sample copy. But if you wanted to create a link within text, like just say, well, like what, just view site. So right there, we'd highlight it and go to the little chain link, real obvious. And then we drive them to .com, that site. And right here, what we would want to do is we would want to add, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to delete. We'd want to add say we're doing a product, right? We'd want to add an image and text. Drop it right there. browse images. So say you're selling a t-shirt or whatever, but I don't have a picture of a t-shirt handy. Say you're selling a house, insert. So now we have a house image that's dropped in. It's too big. I would suggest editing that, but for the sake of what we're doing, we're not going to. And then say you would want, not say, you would definitely want a the web address for that particular product or home, whatever you're putting in the email, a book, if you're selling a book, dot, this one, they're getting weirder. I don't think I can put the colon in there, semicolon. All right, there we go. And then you'd want to put a caption in there, like, this house is awesome. Boom. And then another fun thing that I would always suggest doing, although you've linked the photo, we want to include a button. Clear call to action, buy now, web address. Or you can make it where it would be able to reply to an email or an anchor link, whatever, or file if you need to download a file. But web address, we'll go with that same, there we go. So now our email's created. We've got a header image that will link to the website. We've got text, so add copy here, whatever it is that you're wanting to tell, if it's part of your brand story or if it's about a new line you have coming out, any kind of newsletter type thing. And then below that, we've got an image with a caption and a clear button to buy. I would suggest that, you can switch the format up. You can change it around. I'm just showing you the ease of use. Always have a clear call to action. Make sure every image is linked to the website, and make sure any text that should be linked is linked. That's kind of key. So once you've done that, you've got the free version of MailChimp locked in. So save and send. I'm not actually going to send it, but I would hit continue. And it will eventually get there. And this is where you would go. You could edit your recipients, edit the from, edit the test subject before you actually send it. And you can say finish later. That's what I'm going to do. But that's how you do MailChimp. Super simple. Everyone should be doing it. Let's look real quick at Shopify. So e-commerce folks, if you're not using Shopify and you're considering a switch to another platform, here we go. This is where you should be. I know I've got at least one person on here that has a Shopify site they're running. So if you're not running just abandoned cart emails alone, you should at a bare minimum be running those. So let's just look at that. So this is for Peace Love Beer. We've talked about that brand. That's my brand. And so we'll go over here to automations. Under marketing, click automations, and then abandon checkout emails by Shopify. Click that. Style. Oh, sorry. This is checkout. So we're going to scroll down. We can change the style of the checkout. We'll look at this back end next week, actually. So I'm not even going to talk about it now. Abandon checkouts. Customize email. If you don't have it turned on, make sure it's turned on. And then it's all in HTML, which is fine because you can preview it here. Boom. Look, abandoned cart. You left these items in your cart. It's that simple. Like, it sets up automatically if you check it too. There's no trick to it. And you can change the copy there just by going in here, finding it. Just don't change the coding, but it'll insert the first name. You can see right there in the code. Just real fun to do that. Another quick thing you can do with Shopify, we'll go into marketing. And so build brand engagement with Shopify email. We'll do this real quick. I'll just show you some options because, again, it's all templated. It does it automatically. You don't have to dive in deep. You can send an automatic discount. Like if you have a highly engaged list and you want to drive some more engagement with them, you could do that here. You can segment your audiences, obviously, and that's what you'd want to do. You could do sales, but the automated discounts, they would click through from that email and the discount would automatically be applied. So they don't have to go through and do crazy things. Gift cards, just general information, COVID updates, shop online, pick up in store, which doesn't apply to e-commerce necessarily unless you have a local brand or local option on that. And then, yeah, just fun templated things that automatically are part of Shopify. Super important, extremely valuable, and everyone should be running those things. And if you're not, we'll talk about another option here. So like you've got MailChimp and you've got Shopify. Let's talk about the next one, the next level of craziness that everyone should have. Not everyone should have. Every business that can afford it and has enough engagement should have. Things get real wild here. So this is the back end of Infusionsoft. And this isn't even the back end. I just took a screenshot because I didn't want to get lost in everything because there's so many options on what you can do. This is an automation that I have set up for a chiropractic client of mine. And it's kind of a beta test on some things that we're running through. So you'll see start. That's just what an action, like when start happens, there's an action that creates that. So in this particular thing, there was a campaign we ran that was driving people to create an action, submit a lead to join in a online competition, essentially. So when they did that, they would get a tag applied to them and it would hit the trigger to start. So as soon as they filled out this form online, they would hit the Infusionsoft would start the process. It would wait 5 minutes and then it would send an intro. In the intro, there was a video from one of the doctors and he went through, what are the rules? What are we doing here? And how do you participate in this over the next week? And fun fact, if you include video in your email, it increases click-through rate, something like 300% or something stupid like that. So include video if you can, if it makes sense. It just increases user engagement. So after that went out, and they explained the rules, and it said, hey, on Monday, the competition starts or the challenge starts. So be ready. Check your email Monday morning, and it'll be there. So this is their timer, and it triggered to send the email day one. Day one had videos in it, everything else. Again, you'll notice Tuesday, start over here. You can follow the arrows. See, Wednesday, emails, Thursday, whatever. So it got to the end of the challenge, and it was like, hey, thanks for participating. We're excited that you joined in. And then 3 days after that, which would be the next weekday, an email went out that I did not title, but it was a thank you for participating email. We would welcome you in for a discounted service. I forget exactly what the call to action was in the offer, but there was a clear one. And this automation killed it. Like people would watch because they were expecting them. So we'd get the email and they knew it was coming every morning at a certain time and they would watch it. And after they went through the whole process, they would get a tag applied so that they would never go through this automation again. And once that tag is applied, they're no longer eligible to be part of this automation. So they can't accidentally get the same email sequence. So a fun thing you can do with this was fairly simple to set up. Well, not set up, but simple compared to what you can do. Other options are like when, so say the intro email went out, I could create a call to action in that intro email, and it would be, say something like, go ahead and schedule an appointment, or let's switch it all to e-commerce. Maybe this is your welcome series that we talked about in the beginning. And it would be an introduction to the brand and maybe the brand story. And all we're trying to do is get them to make a purchase. We can, if they go from that email to make a purchase through the call to action, we can apply a tag to make sure that they don't get the rest of the sequence. Because now they'll get a new email that says, hey, thank you for purchasing. We don't need to give them 5 other emails of a welcome sequence because they're already welcome. They're already bought into the brand. So you can have an if-then scenario. If they do this, then this happens, and they don't have to go through the whole process again. So this is Infusionsoft. There's other platforms like this, like Klaviyo, ActiveCampaign, that all are super robust, and they really just almost a CRM. They collect tons of audience data and help you segment it and use it properly. But it's unparalleled in what it can do for your revenue as a business owner. And you can do some of this through MailChimp and other smaller platforms, but what this just does is just kind of off the charts with what the capabilities are. So again, audience matters. If we're going to, just like Facebook, when we're sending emails out, we want to make sure we're sending relevant content to a relevant audience. So when you send out an email, we'll talk about Harley Davidsons because, again, I've got a background in that area. If I send an email out for Sportsters, which is the smaller Harley Davidson, and I had audience data from past customers, I wouldn't send the smaller Harley Davidson to people that bought the big, huge touring models, the ones that are $20,000 to $40,000. A Sportster is like a new one's like 10,000 to 12,000 in that range. And I would send that, I would send that audience data or that email about a Sportster to past customers who were interested in Sportsters. I wouldn't send the $40,000 motorcycle to that group because they're not likely to purchase, and they're way less likely to be engaged in email going forward. So as you build an email audience, pay attention to what they bought. And if you know that, hey, this person bought this one thing, they're likely to buy this again, or they're likely to be in this segment that will buy these other things, then build audiences based on that. It's extremely important for you.